Hi, this is Emily Neisel. I will be presenting our group, the Saami People, and my teammates are Graham, Madeline, Lauren, Thomas, and Tosh. So the Saami people, we're gonna teach you a lot about the Saami culture. And first, we're gonna talk about where they're from. The Saami culture was inhabited in northern Scandinavia and is now in northern countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland, and even a little bit of Russia. The climate, obviously, I've personally actually been there to Norway and Sweden, and it's cold. Even in the summer, it's beautiful, but it's cold, and especially where they were, very northern. It's just very it's rock, it's snow. It has vegetation, but not as much as more southern country. So, obviously, the Sami culture is used to this type of climate. Um, Back in AD 100, the Sami were dispersed all throughout Scandinavia, and there was a wide range of their people. There was a decent amount of them back then, and they were flourishing. Now they have been pushed into the more northern regions of the countries, and they're more scarce as a culture because they have become assimilated to the countries where they live. You can obviously see in the picture that is what's going on up there. They're part of the northern parts of the country. So, the Sami history. The Sami people have lived in the northern Scandinavia for thousands of years. It is disputed where the Sami originated from, with some scholars stating that they came from the Paleo-Siberian peoples, and others stating that they came from Central Europe. So we're not 100% sure like where they came from because they were very nomadic. Early Sami people would hunt reindeer, and you'll find out later in our presentation, reindeer is extremely important to this culture. And they keep small numbers of them as decoy animals as well. A few centuries ago, the Sami transitioned to a more traditional nomadic lifestyle with larger herds of reindeer. And as we learned in class, this type of culture is like crucially pastoralism, and we'll learn about that as well. And there are a few nomadic Sami people, um, with most reindeer herders living in permanent housing. So at this point, they're not so nomadic because they're kind of stationed in one area, and so they farm reindeer, and reindeer is a part of all their whole culture. Their language, because there's multiple different regions where the Sami live, there are multiple variations of their language. While the Sami do possess and practice their own native tongue, they usually also teach their children more dominant languages. So if it's a Sami culture and they're living in northern Norway, the kids are most likely going to know Norwegian as well. The group of Sami languages forms a branch of the, I can't say it, Uralic languages, a group of about 38 dialects spoken primarily in northern Eurasia, part of the Finno-Ugric branch of the Uralic language. So some examples: West Sami and East Sami. So the West Sami are more southern, Ume, Lule, Pite, north, and then northern, spoken the most. The East Sami is the Kemi, Inari, Akala, Kilden, Skolter. Like that's all different types of languages that they speak, based on their region. The economics. The major economic system for the Sami culture is through trade. The reindeer herding was the basis of the Sami economy until recently. Now, many Norwegian Samis are coastal fishermen, and those in other areas depend for their livelihoods on things like farming, freshwater fishing, etc. So I'm just going to talk a little bit. Like, I've been to Norway, and I've realized how important fishing is to them. I didn't really think about that because they're so north, but you forget, like, they're surrounded by sea too. And so, yes, this is true. Like, the Norwegian Sami have become major fishermen. More inland Sami cultures still stick with reindeer, especially. So, pastoralism, breeding and raising animals for benefit to be used over continuously and not for one time use. This was exemplified in our book. This term is also a key part of the economic system for the Sami to gather things like milk to help nourish themselves. So they use every part of the reindeer they can, and in using every part, they use that through trade, and that is a lot of times their simpler economic system, not including the country's economic system that they live in. Reindeer and fisheries. So, reindeer are a major and crucial part of the Sami population. Pretty much the entire economic system are run through the reindeer. This includes trade, pastoralism, and also for meat and protein, like we talked about. Fishing is also a new thing the Sami culture has picked up recently. Lots of the food intake is through fishing and trade, and will most likely continue to grow for the culture in the future. Many people have stereotypical understandings of them. So, these people are just reindeer nomads living in isolated mountain regions in the north that wear strange clothes and live in huts, when they actually have a complex culture that many people are unaware of. So a lot of people just think they're kind of hermits in a way. And you don't need, like, they think they're just kind of there to raise the reindeer and live in isolation, and that's not true. And I think a lot of that too, like a good example is in Frozen 2. The group that they find in that like enchanted forest is supposed to be the Saami people. And I find that interesting because they literally like isolated them into an enchanted forest. So that kind of shows that like it's a preconceived notion that they kind of are just hermits. And although they stick to themselves, they have reasons because they were being oppressed by their countries, and they live in solitude because they are farmers and they are herders and they're smaller cultures. And not everyone is just like a reindeer herder. They all have a part in their culture, and they're all trying to maintain the culture for good, like for a long time. Oh, I forgot this, but stereotype is having preconceived mental images of a group that bias the way one perceives group members and interprets their behavior. I should have started with that, but that's what we're trying to say. Like they have a stereotype that the Sami people are hermits, and that this is not true. Traditional apparel. So the clothing that is most associated with the Sami is a tunic known as the gakti. It is mostly worn in the northern regions of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Kola Peninsula in Russia. It was originally made from reindeer skin, but nowadays it's more commonly made of wool, cotton, or silk. It is worn in both ceremonial contexts and while working, particularly when herding reindeer. The difference in color, patterns, and decorations can signify an individual's marital status or geographical origin. You can see that for such a snowy and cold and kind of like gray area in a sense where they live, they really try to incorporate happy thoughts, happy feelings, because they're genuinely happy people. They incorporate it into their clothes because a lot of their clothes are colorful. They have reds, blues, yellows, and they wear this not just for ceremonial context. They wear it every day sometimes. So their music. The Sami have several traditional singing styles. There are traditional Sami songs known as joiks. These songs tend to be about whatever the performer finds passionate, reflecting a person, animal, place, or whatever the singer feels a personal or spiritual connection with. There are often little to no lyrics, do not rhyme, and don't seem to have a definitive structure. Some people have compared them to the traditional chants of Native Americans. They are traditionally sung without being accompanied by an instrument. They are never accompanied by drums, as much such instruments are reserved for ceremonial purposes. So, I think again, I go back to Frozen 2. Sorry, this is like my reference, but it's something that you can all relate to. When they sing that like na 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 hey na na, that song, that's like what we're talking about. That's a joiks, because it doesn't have much instrumental music, doesn't have much words. It's like a chant, and this is what's really common in their culture. Rituals. So they have a couple rituals that we found as a group really interesting. The bear ritual. Before becoming modernized, the Sami believed that bears acted as mediators between the people and the gods. The Sami would hunt and kill a bear and then bring it back for a feast in a ritual involving a ring. So that was one of their kind of like, I don't know, just like a yearly type of ritual that they went through. Rituals continued. The wedding ceremony. So weddings were a big deal during this time period. So the Sami dressed in bright colors and the bride and groom wear special boots made out of reindeer hide. As the married couple leaves the ceremony, they are greeted with guests holding reindeer antlers and then carried away in a sled dragged by a reindeer. We watched this. This was really cool. They had their bright colored outfits on, more ceremonial. They hold up the antlers. They're carried away on an ant with like reindeers and on a sled, and it's very different from our types of weddings, but very interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to. Okay, it's not letting me start that, but again, this kind of gives you like what the inside of the churches, their types of churches would look like at least. And then back here, and then they'll let you, like what you saw on the last slide was they'll be taken on a sled with a reindeer. So housing was, so there's certain types of housing that was important to their cultures. So the lavu, this type of housing, is for the Saami that are on the move with their reindeer. More nomadic. The tent structure is lightweight, making it easy to move and can fit around 6 to 8 people. And sides are filled with fur and fire. Very similar to a Native American type thing, like a teepee. And it's can move easily, so it's more for the nomadic side of this culture. Then the goati. This more permanent home is similar to a lavu, but built a little larger and with materials like wood and skin. Some homes are built on stilts to keep animals away from supplies and food. So that's the one on the right. We kind of like related it to a hobbit house from the Lord of the Rings. Kind of like a similar thing because it's made from the earth, basically. Today, many Saami live in Western-style homes, but still use old housing for camping and traveling. So today, they're a lot more modernized. They use regular homes for the most part. But like this said, if they're camping or if they're going out on a certain journey for the reindeer, they're going to especially use the lavus. So they have not completely gotten rid of them. And then this is our works cited page. And that's it. I hope you guys really learned some new things about the Saami, and thank you very much.